Hi my loves, and welcome back to another speed build. This time I got inspired by a Tumblr post I saw from a CC creator that I follow called Cowplant Pizza, and they posted that they would love for someone to build the Pink Palace from Coraline. And Coraline is one of my favorite animated movies. That style of movie is some of my favorites, like a Tim Burton or a Guillermo del Toro, or movies like that are a little bit, not horror movies, but just a little bit darker, have a darker aesthetic. I'm a huge fan of. And so when I saw that post and I saw the gorgeous build that the Pink Palace is, I really wanted to recreate it in The Sims, especially now that we have so much stuff. I looked online and I saw who else had done Pink Palace builds, and I know that one of the creators that I follow, Devin Bumpkin, had a build probably a few years ago, and a couple of people have done this build. But I feel like now that we have terrain tools and we have so many game packs with so many different ways to have the architecture of Coraline, like I wanted to revamp a little and put my own little take on it. So I didn't just want to build a house, because I think a lot of what makes Coraline really amazing is the backyard and how she explores her environment. And so I did try to create the maze that's in her backyard. I wanted it to look like Coraline, and so that's why I'm on a much bigger lot. I'm out in one of the lots in Granite Falls, actually. It's in the Granite Fall Forest, and the only reason I did it here is because I wanted it to have the background, like that aesthetic that Granite Falls has. So you definitely don't have to place it here. I think it's also tagged as a rental property when I upload it onto the gallery, but I might try to place it in a different lot somewhere where I can class it as a residential build instead of a rental, so that it's easier for people to find on the gallery when they're looking specifically for a residential lot. So I might do that, so then that way it doesn't have to be classed as a rental property, because I don't think you can make them residential when you're in Granite Falls or in Salvadorada, except for if you have mods, and I don't want this to be a modded creation. So yeah, anyways, the build actually, I watched the movie as kind of like a study on what the house looked like and what the interior was, and I thought about doing like the Button World house, but I found that we don't have enough roof trims to make that look like the house looked like in the Button World. And also I was going to release this last week, because I built this a while ago, actually, probably like 2 weeks ago, but then I saw the update for the configurable stairs, and I really wanted to have the landings that she has inside, and it makes the stairs that are outside that go up to Mr. Bobinski's apartment really cool too. I didn't furnish his apartment at all, but I did make a smaller apartment downstairs for the two ladies that live downstairs, and I'm forgetting their name, so I'm just gonna look it up really quickly. They're Mrs. Spink and Mrs. Forceful. So I did create a downstairs, not a full apartment, it's just their entryway basically, and the little room that they have where Coraline sits and has her tea, and so it has a little bit of a stage area and some rickety seating that they can sit on. But the reason that I like this build is because I like having something to work off of, especially when it comes to roofing, because I'm honestly, like, when I build on my own and I'm trying to figure out how to do roofing, I'm really bad at it for whatever reason. Like I cannot figure out how to do roofing so that it doesn't look like just like random pieces of roofs attached to each other. So I like the fact that I did have a little bit of, a template I guess, to go off of when it came to building this house. I feel like I learned a lot when I was building it. So I like challenges like this where it's a bit bigger of a house. It took a long time for me to cut down all the footage I had of building it, just because it took quite a while actually to like landscape everything the way that I wanted, and to make the maze in the back the way that I wanted. But yeah, I ended up going with the true version of her house. I do wish that we had different kinds of roof trims, more decorative roof trims. I know that we have spandrels, but it's not quite the same, and I feel like a lot of the builds and inspiration that I've been looking at recently has been ones that have very unique roof trims, and I would love for that to be in the game. I would love for them to add that, but it might be hard just because of, I don't know, the way everything is a little bit automatic and you can't place it individually in The Sims. For roof trims, you can only place it along the entire roof. It's not like the freezes that you can place like only along specific walls that you would want. So I don't know how completely possible all of that would be. But yeah, I really like this build. I really like the way that it turned out. The interior is pretty sparse, so I didn't really film any footage of that. I figured the most interesting thing would be the exterior. I did want to get this up sooner than I'm getting it up now, but I was a little bit busy over the weekend, and then I've been literally just binging on all the Realms of Magic content. I don't have an opinion because I don't have the pack yet, but I've been watching other people's opinions of it, so I'd love to know what you guys think. Again, I'm not probably gonna get it right now just because, you know, I'm just waiting to see what other people's opinions are, and I maybe might wait a little bit until I'm ready to do Halloween builds. And I know that this is like technically a Halloween build, so maybe I'll start soon. Maybe I'll start putting Halloween builds out already in September. Although it's funny because I'm not really a huge fan of Halloween. I never have been. Even in college, when people would buy really elaborate costumes or really go like all out and dress up, I was never that type. I would wear whatever was in my closet. I think the only year I really bought anything for Halloween was sophomore year of college, when my friend and I bought like plastic fireman's hats and bought red tank tops, and that was pretty much all we did to dress up as firemen. It was really sad. I think we bought like an actual kids fireman kit, so it had like the little plastic badge and like a fireman hat and a plastic axe, and that was pretty much all I did for Halloween. Otherwise, I really enjoyed actually helping other people pick out their costumes or dressing people up. My senior year of college, I helped my friends like draw on their tattoos or do their hair or things like that. Like, that's what I find intriguing about Halloween, is like helping other people dress up. And now, like, living in New York, one of my favorite things is just to see what other people's costumes are like. That's my favorite part about Halloween, not dressing up myself. I would love to know what you guys' plans for Halloween are, or how you guys celebrate. I hadn't watched the movie in a while, so it was fun pretending like I needed to watch it for like to study it, to figure out what the house looked like. I also think it's interesting because it's called the Pink Palace Apartments, but literally it's just like, I feel like Coraline, everyone calls her Caroline, and I called her Caroline. That's awful. I feel like Coraline's parents own basically the entire house, and just like the attic and the basement are for like their weird neighbors, which is so odd because it's actually a really big house. But the thing I did notice when I went to do the interior with the rooms is that I'm not sure how, but they made Coraline's room look huge, and if you go based on the proportions of the house and the way that it's set up, there's no way Coraline's room is that big. So I had to adjust the outside of a little bit just to make it a little bit wider. I think I went one more square out just so I could get Coraline's room like to fit the bed in, because I really wanted it to be on that end of the house the way that it was supposed to be. So now I'm doing the apartment downstairs for Miss Forcible and Miss Spink. I love their characters in the movie. I was also having a lot of trouble with columns. For some reason, when I am building, I can never get columns to go on the second floor like I'm supposed to, and I'm not sure whether it's because I should have a third floor on top, or whether I'm not sure what it is, but for some reason for me, columns never place properly on the second floor of houses. So if someone has any tips for why that happens, or there's something particular I should be doing, definitely let me know, because I would love to be able to fix that. It's so annoying. And another thing I would love for someone to tell me is how, when building, how I can get the camera to stop like flying up for no reason. I was recently building on a lot in Windenburg, and not for a build, just like for myself. When I was playing in the game, I wanted to build a house for the family that I was playing, and it was one of the smaller lots in Windenburg, and I would go, like, it didn't happen in the front of the house. I felt like it happened in the back of the house, where the external environment behind the house kind of goes up on a ledge, and anytime you pass a certain threshold, the camera would float into the air onto like that external environment. If there's like a mod or a way for that to stop happening, I would love for somebody to let me know if there's anything I can do to make that stop happening. Another thing about this build that I really liked is that I could go into a little bit more detail. So I did build the garage, and I built the conservatory that's in the back, and the greenhouse that's in the back, and the conservatory that's attached to the house. The inside of the build is pretty empty, just because like their actual house, because they've recently moved in, is pretty empty. But I also enjoyed creating the actual characters themselves. I did find that with Coraline, I had to have CC hair, because no kid's hair allows you to color a kid's hair blue. I found that odd, and I don't think I realized that until I went in the game, is that EA doesn't let you have kids with colored hair for whatever reason. So I did have CC hair for her, and that's why that family is not on the gallery. But if you want them and you want the CC links, let me know, and I'll muster the energy to try to figure out how to get all the CC linked properly. Another thing I really liked about this build is that I had to definitely go into a lot more detail. So I had to have all like the extra little roof bits and make sure that those were all entered. I wanted it to be as close to the actual house as possible. So when I was watching the movie, like, I took screenshots of where, the second floor overlapped the first floor, and the roofing details, because I think one of the prettiest things about this house is the Victorian look of it, and Victorian styles are some of my favorites. So I wanted to include that, and I wanted the house to have a lot of the details that the house in the movie has, in terms of adding in columns and having like that texture, because I feel like if you don't add texture once you paint the walls or the exterior of the house, it doesn't really like add a lot to the way that the build looks. So I thought that was pretty important. It was to have a little bit of that exterior detailing, just to kind of give more texture to the outside of the house. I really had fun building this backyard as well. I went in, and I didn't again film me like going through by debug and putting all that in there, but you'll see at the end when I put in the screenshots, like, I also really enjoyed having like the bridge there, and I found a way to make that work, and it was just a lot of like tinkering around. But I found some pretty cool things about by debug. Like, I know that you can add those garden plots, but apparently if you raise the garden plots up, they have kind of a base. So next build, I'm really gonna experiment with that, because I think that would be really cool to be able to do that and have kind of that be in the build. So if you guys come up with anything cool that you come across when you're playing with the debug objects, let me know. I think that would be really cool to experiment with, just because I feel like there is definitely a lot that you can do with it. So I hope that you guys, if you place it in your game or you enjoy it, that you send me screenshots, or if you create your own Coraline family, that you guys send me screenshots of it. I would love to see it in people's games and how they play with it. I think that that's one of the most inspiring things, is like just watching like how people play in their game. And I was thinking that the other day, because I feel like my gameplay is, I'm not gonna lie, it's like a little twisted, like it's a little odd. And I know that everyone says that about like their sim games, that they just like go in and they kill people, but I don't go in and like just willy-nilly like, you know, find ways to kill all my sims. But I do have like strange gameplay, and I don't know, like I feel like it would be so odd for me to do a let's play that's like family oriented, because like my gameplay is just so odd, and I don't have any of like the, you know, not safe for work mods or anything. I did for a while have some of them in my game, but I just felt like it took me out of the game a little bit too much, and then it was a little bit extra all the time, and I just felt like it was a little inappropriate at times, and I was just like, this is not the way that I want to play my game. But I do like them, and I think that their creators are amazing, and they have a lot of other mods and content out there if like you're not interested in like that content. But they've done some amazing work. A lot of the people that have worked on some of like the bigger mods that have come out, like I recently downloaded the Sim Realist, the Sims National Bank mod, and a lot of those same creators work on the scripting of those mods together. And to me, just like to know that the community is so close with each other, and that they make friends with each other, and that they're so supportive, I think is just some of the coolest things that have come out of me being more active in the community and being more active on like Tumblr and on Twitter, is like seeing how uplifting I think Sims players are with each other. So I've really enjoyed being part of that, and putting a spotlight on other builders and content creators and things like that. I think that that's one of the coolest things about this game, is that it really does bring people who share this love. Like there's a really creative community that comes together, and they support each other in their work. I really wish I could have made this look like Coraline's face, but there just wasn't enough space, and it was difficult enough getting like all the round pieces in the right areas and everything. But I really ended up enjoying the way that this looked at the end, and enjoyed the overall effect that it gave. So yeah, this was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm gonna let you enjoy the rest of it. There's not a lot left. I think I just finish up this greenhouse, which I really like. I didn't do anything with the inside, but you could definitely have your plants and stuff grow in there. I think it turned out really pretty, and I really enjoyed it. So I hope you guys really enjoy it as well. Again, like if you place this in your game, definitely send me screenshots and let me know how it goes and if it works all right. I did a lot of playtesting when I built it and when I took screenshots, and I enjoyed doing all of that. So definitely, if you place it in your game, can send it to me on Twitter or Tumblr. Those will be linked at the end. And yeah, if you guys have any ideas that you come across for interesting builds, or any Halloween ideas that you would want recreated in The Sims, let me know. I don't want to do ones that are already going to be done. So if you guys have ones that you've never seen before, or movies that kind of fall by the wayside when it comes to Halloween builds, definitely let me know, and I'll be doing my own research for that as well. Thank you guys for all the support. If you like this video, please comment down below and subscribe to my channel. All right, loves, see you in the next one.